Okay, welcome to the video tutorial on how to print magnetic sheets with the printer and the Cricut so that you can achieve color prints on a white magnetic sheet and cut them out using your Cricut. I always start with Photoshop and how I want these laid out, and ultimately it's most efficient if you have all these edges, creases lined up with each other, so it's easy to cut or bend or pull multiple magnets out of the same 8.5 by 11 standard size sheet of paper. So this is like tutorial for using 8.5 by 11. As you can probably see, the canvas size in Photoshop is 8.5 by 11. I've got a total of 8 of these put on here, so these print anyway. Because I've been using layers in Photoshop. Just one layer per copy of each instance. Once you get one layer in, cut or copied and pasted in, as layer one, you can duplicate the layer. It's real easy, not tricky stuff. I've got layer 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can choose the eyeball off to the side of each layer to show each layer. That's how Photoshop and most of these Illustrator, Adobe products work, with layers, right? And so you get a window view layers, right? Okay, so now that I've got the design, I'm gonna save this first as a PSD file, Photoshop file, and I'm gonna indicate this is a PSD. And I'll call this, one Bitcoin Stories 8 PSD. And to get it in a format that Cricut Designer works with, the best thing in my opinion to use is a PNG, and actually we're going to remove the background layer. So this is an RGBIC image type. So you can see mode, in the mode up here top left, the RGB color is what is selected. We have a 16-bit, so just in case you need to create a new file, put your layers in. I would recommend an 8.5 by 11 if you're printing on 8.5 by 11, standard page size, paper size, and print 200 resolution inches, and the orientation is portrait, RGB color, RGB IEC, whatever, that one. And then click create, and you can do exactly what I did, create, and then you can save it as a PSD file, remove the background. Actually, I deleted it from this, so you can see the pixelated background now, the transparent squares that appear there. So I'm going to export it as a PNG file, and I'm going to save it as the same file name but with PNG, and I'm going to overwrite the former one that I saved just to demonstrate in this example. And then once you got it done and put in a PNG file, you're going to open up your Cricut Designer. You're going to choose, you're going to go to your canvas, click the hamburger menu, then click canvas, and then click new. Well, no, not new canvas. As long as your canvas is empty, then you don't have to click new. And then you want to upload. And in this case, I'm going to use the quick access most recent files that have been active on my computer. Files. Anyway, there's the PNG file that I exported. Click open, and it automatically can identify or automatically displays the images. In this case, I'm printing some very simple prints with some very straight cuts, rectangular cuts. In this case, I'm going to use simple image type. Now, if you're doing something complex and you need detail and in your images, then I'd recommend one of the more complex options here. So now select and erase. This part is really important. Maybe I should have select and erase. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to give me a preview in gray in what is to be cut out here in this select and erase process. As long as you remove the white background, it should detect all of the boxes in gray edges of all the boxes or rectangles or squares you're going to be cutting, even if you have a custom shape. Anyway, so this looks good from a cutting standpoint. This looks like a good format. I think in the former video attempt, I uploaded a PNG with a white background, and I forgot to select and erase the white background. So if you left your white background up to this point, this is where you want to select that little white area outside and then remove it from what is to be left uncut out, if that makes sense. So these edges of these boxes are going to be what's cut out. You have the option, I think right now, to reduce color tolerance. No, but this is the preview nevertheless. I thought at some point you had the option to adjust the offset here, which is, you know, something you can do so that you make sure that you have clean cut edges, you know, with printed material all the way to those edges. It just makes look for a more professional magnet or cutout, whatever you're doing. In this case, we're going to be using magnetic sheets. So I chose continue, and then it's going to give me the option to save it. I'm going to save it as project, enter keywords by comma, print, then cut image. I'll choose upload, and then you get you uploaded it, but then you have to insert it into your canvas. What you no, wait, is that right? No, we should be going on to the print page, print step. No. Okay, so we go back to canvas, and it's still not there, so we have to go back to the uploads. We choose it, we choose insert images, and now it's going to complain about, if you look over here, it's just the maximum width to be able to cut things using the cutter is 6.75 inches. So when selected, the template that you want to print should be changed to 6.75, reducing the total height when kept in constraint or proportions with each other is less than the value now. And you see no error or exclamation mark on the right side. That was taught to me by a really great friend. Anyway, okay, so now we're ready to cut. So operation is print and then cut. That's what we want here. So we choose make it. I think we might have to save it. Okay, so now material size 8.5 by 11. Everything looks good. Then they want me to print it, and you can send to a printer of your choice. Of course, you know, mine is going to actually be the color Toshiba LaserJet printer that I've been using for most. You can get to specify your copy count here, but I'd always recommend using the system dialog, and in that case it doesn't really matter what you select here, because it's going to give you the option to print to all of them here. Okay, and I'm just going to send one to my printer, for example, because I've already printed a few that really I just missed the cutting step accuracy on last time. Once it gives you the option for your own printer here, the printer system printer dialog is what it's called. You choose preferences. In this case, I have a setting that I'm going to go ahead and select that I could only get to work with the bypass tray and thick 4 size with portrait color. And there's some other settings in here you may want to evaluate for your own printer to make sure that's the highest quality photo that you can get. Mine already has a profile or template set where I'll just select it. Okay, so I'm gonna just print 1 copy, change this to 1 copy, number of copies, and I'm gonna go ahead and print it. Okay, now I'll get some of this magnet paper. Go to my printer, put it upside down and face down in the bypass tray. I guess singular directional. Got some magnet paper right here, upside down and face down in the bypass tray. Hold that. Clip. This, your printer may vary or differ, but this is how it's done on mine. And once the bypass tray, and hit start, let's go feed it in there. And hopefully it doesn't have to warm up. Whatever. Warming up. Sorry, keep this video below 5 minutes. Hope I've had a lot of content so far. Good learning content on how to print your own stickers or do magnets, you know, using the Cricut cutter tool. Biggest problem I had at first was I was using Photoshop to attempt to print, and then I was trying to just cut with the cutting tool. Sucked it only halfway in. Added minutes to my video. I'm really sorry. I respect time more than this usually. So, see it popping out here, all in color. I use a LaserJet printer because color is much better. It only shot halfway out. I don't know if it's saying misspeed, but that's just not true. So, open it, close it, or something. Sake. Yeah, so now you have the printout. You printed it using the Cricut cutter or Cricut, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and I've actually got boots right there stacked. Right here, one that I've already laid on top of the template. Now, you want to lay it a certain way to where the edges of the printout or cutout that you're applying to this template are on the inside edges of these template lines. You can very accurately measure. As long as those are straight, looking from straight up and down, the cutter, Cricut cutter should be able to detect it. The edges. Now, going back to Cricut cutter after the print, we have to choose our card stock. Now, in this case, or paper stock or whatever people call it. Search all materials. In this case, we're going to search for magnetic. And you type magnet, and it's a magnetic printable magnet sheet is what I've been using. I don't know if there's anything more appropriate to select here. And I have also been using more pressure using the fine point blade in clamp B. Okay, so now what it says is loaded in, and you can see now on the Cricut cutter tool that it is ready to be fed. Got a blinking light indicator there. Once you get it, oh well, it picked it up because this is blinking now. So it fed it in enough. It should be kind of pushing it in. First blinking button, and now what it's doing is actually scanning. It's scanning the edges of those black thin lines around the whole template to determine exactly where the cutting blade is and where it needs to be pressed down before the cut. You know.